Sometimes sitting is the bravest thing a person can do. I try to convince myself as I stare at my computer screen, or maybe it's an unopened book or a blank piece of paper, but ultimately the same thing is staring right back at me. An unfinished problem. I've been sitting and staring for a long time, but now I've started creating. I've started writing. Or maybe I'm updating or uploading or posting or reblogging or chatting or watching or recording or something. But the page is still blank. The paper is still minimized. The book still closed. And my mind still racing. But at least I'm creating. Or at least that's the solace I get. At least here is something I am making that will make the world a better place. At least this is productive. I may be convinced, but I know that my teacher won't be if that's what I tell them, or Jim, or her, or him. Professor, I worked harder on a piece of art than I worked on your paper because I was creating something that someday the world will come to admire. Someday, the world will look at it and think that is something worth sharing with my friends. And I couldn't be bothered with your worthless project. My teacher will definitely understand that. It doesn't have to be art, of course. Maybe I was playing video games. Or maybe I was solving math puzzles. It's the same story, after all. In front of me lies a problem that feels as if there is too much difficulty and not enough return value from it, and so I will turn to a place with less difficulty and more return value. And so, for the time being, I have alleviated the pressure of the imposing problem, which feels too hard to solve, and yet with each passing minute, the problem only gets worse, as time and resources also get gobbled up by the parasitic problem of procrastination. I haven't talked about bravery. I started this by claiming that sitting was brave, but have only been justifying procrastination with my sorry excuse for a piece of art. It's not even handwritten. I just knew that my thoughts would come faster than I could write it, so I decided typing would be the best idea, but there's this feeling of cheapness. Of running away from my problems, of not really being brave at all. I guess the brave thing is the idea of still trying in the face of failure. Looking at failure square in the eyes, recognizing it, accepting it, and yet still walking forward, never looking back. And yet knowing that what has come before has led you here, and might come again. The brave thing is that even though at every turn there seems to be someone who doesn't understand, you love them anyway, and are patient with their needs, even if it hurts. The brave thing is accepting that everything is the same and everything is different. You have changed, and yet you are still yourself. The world evolved while still being very familiar. And that there are some things that are true or false or both or neither. Bravery is knowing you need to detach yourself for your own health, and yet go back and attach yourself all over again for the thrill of the ride. This is art. It is art because I say it is art. I put time and effort into these words, these thoughts, and these opinions with the hope that someone, someday, may hear them and take something from them and think, yes, my thoughts and emotions have been expressed in words I can understand. Yes, here is something I can point people to explain and let them understand how I feel. Yes, I can know that I am not alone in the world because there is at least this one person who has felt the same way as I have. I am proud of this work, but there is still that existentialist, nihilist, or whatever depressing philosophy that applies. There is still this feeling, this thought of, will it matter? I've written more for this monologue than I have on my paper. I've worked harder on a community than I did on my academics, or maybe I watched more videos to become a better fan than I have read news to become a better world citizen. I am not proud of procrastination. I cannot commend myself for this work when it is directly interfering with what will supposedly help me go to school, or to get a job, or live a happy life. I say supposedly, because how can I know that this hardship won't just lead to another hardship? And if possible, why not do the fun and interesting thing now, since life is now? I get it. Life is hard. Life is sad. Life is rough. Life is sometimes doing things we don't want to do. But don't tell me it's all for the best. Don't tell me it all works out. Don't tell me that everything will be okay because it belittles the injustice I feel. It patronizes, it doesn't help, and it's ignorant. I'm a real human being going through real pain and suffering just like the rest of us, but saying it gets better may be true. But accepting pain won't change the world. People stand up for racism and sexism and homophobia, but sometimes injustice happens that doesn't have a name, that is difficult to describe and hard to understand. When that happens, everyone has to be careful because it is easy for the hunted to become the hunter and the assailant to become the victim, and I get that. But my conclusion is that the important thing to do in these situations is to take responsibility for your actions, and not just yours, but mine. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry for attacking you. I'm sorry for accusing you. I'm sorry for being unprepared. I'm sorry for working on this rather than that. I'm sorry for my bad decisions. I'm sorry. But that's why sitting is brave. When after all that, after still feeling wronged, after still feeling patronized, after still feeling like the world is finding every possible somewhat humorous way to add sadness to my life, I can still say life is great. And I believe in humanity. And even I love you. I think it's time to work on that paper. Or whatever it was.